Did the United States just ban robot vacuum cleaners? Hello everyone, I'm Just a Dad, and the FCC just released a public notice that is saying a lot about robot vacuum cleaners. And while some of it is actually good, I think, and some of it I think maybe I'm not too sure about. So, hello everyone, I'm Just a Dad. I review robot vacuum cleaners for a living, and I've been getting a lot of requests for a video on this new ban. This took me completely by surprise. People were emailing me and sending me messages, and I'm like, oh, I got to start reading these. My first impression was, no big deal. This is just an overstep. Like, they're going to modify. This really was never intended for robot vacuum cleaners. And I was going to do a video that very next day, but then I waited, and it's been about 4 or 5 days. I've been deep diving into this with the help of ChatGPT, of all things. But I've been reading the public notice. I've been kind of discussing it, going online. And what I'm finding is actually kind of concerning. And this is what I do for a living. I have purchased over 200 robot vacuum cleaners. I think these robot vacuum cleaners are really great additions to your home. They give you time back. And they're doing a lot. And I think this kind of snuck up on everybody, even including me. These robot vacuum cleaners are becoming extremely advanced. Now, the old days, a lot of people don't realize how advanced some of these are just robot vacuum cleaners that vacuum and mop your home. But they're coming up with some extremely advanced technologies. And the older ones had simple technologies, not a whole lot going on. A lot of the old ones just bounced off the wall. So let me get started with here. So the FCC ban. Wow, it's a lot to digest. So robots that are currently in your home, you don't need to do anything with. They're okay. The FCC is not going to turn them off. You can continue to use them. There are robot vacuum cleaners on my website, on Amazon, that you can continue to buy. So this is for future releases. So any robot vacuum cleaner that has already been approved by the FCC, because these things have to be approved by the FCC because they have electronics and Wi-Fi and all, I don't understand that whole process, but there's an approval process. So the robots that are in the pipeline that already have that approval up to the July 28th, 2026 are okay. After that is where the problems begin. And now, it's not about China. China is a major manufacturer of robot vacuum cleaners, but it doesn't specifically label China. It says foreign-made robot vacuum cleaners. So after that date, if it's foreign-made by at least 68%, it has to have at least 68% American-made or something. I don't know the details of all of that. Then it's kind of exempt. Basically, they're wanting these robot vacuum cleaners to be made in the United States, I'm guessing, and then they kind of they don't get a free pass. But again, I don't know that part of it. But let me talk to you what I do know about. So the ones after July 28th that have not been approved yet, they have to go through an approval process. They have to submit something about how they're going to store the images, what is all going on with these robots. And at first I was like, well, there's not a whole lot going on with these robots. It's not a big deal. But the more I got to thinking about it, and actually Claude, I was using Claude discussing with this ban and everything, and it kind of brought to my attention that, these robots are doing a lot. They're taking pictures, they're mapping your home. Now, the map is not a visual map, it's like a LiDAR map, but it's very accurate. But I think the thing that got me is, and maybe people aren't aware of this, is the sensor on the front. Now, we've had robot vacuum cleaners with cameras. Roomba came out with that several years ago. And so we've had pictures. And now where those pictures are stored, I don't know. They tell us all this stuff that it's local and it's on this. And it's, you use your app to see the picture. And my app is not. So my app has to go find the photo somewhere. I don't know how all of that works. So there actually is some areas that I do think we do need to be concerned about. And I think that was the intent of the FCC's rule with robot vacuum cleaners okay, these things, now, it was not intended for robot vacuum cleaners. There's a lot of other robots that are there's just a lot of other robots that mowers and all this other stuff. But the robot vacuum cleaners got caught up into it. And again, at first I thought, well, that's just a mistake. They're going to amend it. And they're going to let robot vacuum cleaners slide. These things aren't no big deal. But the more I thought about it, and the more what I'm seeing is these sensors on the front are becoming extremely advanced. Now, I don't know if there's intent behind it. What I see the intent is they're wanting that sensor to help clean your home better. That's what they're telling us. That's what I assume the intent is for. There's going to be robot vacuum cleaners that have arms that pick up. Well, there already is. Then there's going to be future ones that pick up stuff and organize the stuff in your home. Now, in order to do that, they do have to have a really good sensor to sense what it's picking up, and advanced electronics and computer processing, and I'm sure it talks to the cloud somehow. So there's a lot going on with this processing. And I think they're concerned about where that information is going, how it's being processed, how it's being stored, and all of that. So with that being said, I'm kind of glad that they're actually doing this and causing these manufacturers to prove that the information is going to be stored safely. It's not going to be used any other way. So I'm actually glad for that. So future robot vacuum cleaners like Dreamy, Mova, Eufy, Roomba, Shark, I think a lot of these manufacturers make their robots overseas, are going to have to they're going to have to pass whatever the FCC says about this. So I do think that's a good thing, because future robots they're wanting these things to pick up your home. They're wanting to climb stairs. And they can't do that with just simple sensors and simple things. It is a very complicated thing for a robot to pick up something. I mean, I've got that Roborock Starl Z70 at my home, and it does pick up stuff, but it has to recognize it. You don't want a robot just picking up a cord, pulling a toaster off of the counter or something. So you want these robots to be smart. But I think they just realize now that, and these manufacturers are moving at a fast pace. I can't keep up with the technology that's changing on these robot vacuum cleaners. And so I guess in that aspect, I'm sort of glad to see them hit the brakes on these robot vacuum cleaners. We've still got good robot vacuum cleaners. There's some that don't have cameras. There's some that just have sensors for optical avoidance that are extremely good. So I don't feel, I was excited for the future about what these robots are going to do. This is definitely just a pause that they're going to have to figure out. But right now, there are some extremely good robot vacuum cleaners that'll give you time back in your life. We may not see some of the more advanced ones, maybe the stair climbing ones, unless they were already approved. We may not see those this year or for a little bit. I was super excited for those. But so the ones you have in your home can continue to get updates. They can continue to be used. And the ones that are for sale on Amazon right now, you can continue to buy. I just bought the Roborock Q Revo 2 Pro. It just released last week, like right around this time. So it must have already been approved. Roomba's got the 775 Max. I just bought it. So Roomba just released a whole bunch of robot vacuum cleaners. I will be buying those. So a lot to take in on this, but I'm glad I waited, just because my first impression was like, this isn't a big deal. They're just going to say, it's for more advanced stuff. But no, these things are actually becoming extremely advanced. And I was enjoying that, because watching these things do what they do is exciting. When robots can figure out what a stain is, and then they clean it extra hard, when they can avoid dog poop, when they have robotic arms, when they got mop pads they can leave back at the base station, they can wash them extra hot. I mean, the things that these robots are doing now are pretty amazing. But I see why this rule came out. I'm actually kind of surprised that they realized these things were doing that much. Maybe they're keeping a closer eye on it than I thought. But this was kind of shocking that these got wrapped up into a great big, this was an amendment to the security of robotic devices, and it just came in like these things are over 4 pounds, and I thought it was just a mistake, but I do think it's a good idea. I will continue to review robot vacuum cleaners. Again, there's several here. I've got my top list, the ones that I recommend. I even have ones, there have always been people that have been concerned about privacy, and I've always stated there are robots that, if you're concerned about privacy, that don't have cameras. These may look, now this one has a camera on the front, but there are some, it may look like a camera, but it's not. It's some kind of laser sensor that looks at something to avoid it. And I don't think it's sending images up or anything. I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's just what they tell us in the app is it doesn't have a camera and it doesn't have a microphone. Now, the ones that have cameras and the ones that have microphones, I mean, they are, and if you're going to the bathroom and the robot comes in, it's going to see you on the toilet as an obstacle, and it's going to take a picture of you. So, if you have the camera setting turned on, you can turn it off and it doesn't take pictures. When I have these robots that have the cameras, when I do turn it off, I don't see photos popping up. It just shows a little cone that says, oh, there was an obstacle there. So robots there are, but I do like the ones that have cameras because remote access. So say we leave, I'm in another state and I'm like, oh, did I leave the stove on or did I shut that door? You can activate the robot. You can tell it to go right where you want with the camera on, and you can look at it and you can check on your pets. So there are some nice functions with the robots that have cameras that you can use, you can have them just travel around your home and look at your home if you're not at home. So some pretty cool stuff with them. So again, I will keep you updated on this. Again, the FCC ban, wow, this thing took everybody by storm, and your robot is safe that you're using now. Future ones after this will have to be approved. There's still some really good robot vacuum cleaners, and you can always find those on my website, justadadapproved.com. My promise is to you that I'm going to purchase these robot vacuum cleaners with my own money. I don't take sponsorships. I don't take free products. That way I can give you my honest opinion. And I've got lots of exciting videos coming up. And CES this year in 2027 is going to be pretty interesting because usually there's a lot of hype around. It's in Las Vegas. It's the Consumer Electronics Show. There's one happening in Berlin here in a couple weeks. And usually these robot manufacturers like Dreamy and Mova and Roborock, they have a huge presence there, and they are releasing some pretty powerful robots, just vacuum cleaner robots. So it's going to get very interesting. I did reach out to them. They haven't commented back to me. I don't anticipate I'll hear anything back from them. Maybe they'll have I'm sure they might have a press release, but it's going to affect them quite a bit. They're going to be releasing robots that are pretty spectacular in other countries that we may not be able to get here in the United States. So again, thanks everybody for watching. I hope this video helped. Again, you can check out my first looks. I've got cordless vacuum cleaners, carpet cleaners, all on my website now. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Now, the best place to go to find these robot vacuum cleaner picks is justadadapproved.com. Up here in the top header, you're going to see best overall vacuums, best for pet hair, best under 1,000, best under 500, and best under 300. Let's check best overall. I don't give you 20 picks. I give you 5 of my top robot vacuum cleaners with the score, but I have all the information to back it up. If you want to read the full review, why did I pick the Mova V50? Let's go see the full review. You can see the videos that I have right here to back it up. I have my 3-month real-world score test, my real-world testing results, cost to own, my robot specs that I think are important to robot vacuum cleaners, some quick buy it if, skip if, and then a simple review. Thanks everybody for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button. Also check out where you can find all my approved products on my website, justadadapproved.com. You'll see a little link to it here at the end of the video. If you click on that, that's going to take you right to my website.